Hello, you're watching VNA News Bulletin. I'm Ngọc from Hanoi, and now the headlines as usual.
Kuwaiti Prime Minister begins official visit to Vietnam. Aquatic product exports raking $1.97 billion. Vietnam's giant poetry book sets World Kings records.
In the morning of May 6, State President Chen Dae-kwang hosted a reception for Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida, who is on official visit to Vietnam.
President Quang affirmed Vietnam's consistent policy of continuing to regard Japan as its leading and long-term partner. He suggested the two sides increase the exchange of visits and meetings at all levels to increase mutual understanding while tightening their coordination at regional and international forums. The state leader called on Japan to continue its affiliation with Vietnam in economy, trade, investment, ODA, agriculture and climate change response, and assist the country in sustainable development, economic restructuring and high-quality human resources development. President Chen Dae-kwang appealed to Japan to step up its technological transfer and facilitate Vietnamese farm-produce presence in the Japanese market, in tandem with supporting the country's bids to run for a non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council for 2020 to 2021. Consenting to the host proposals, Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida affirmed Japan's stance of attaching importance to cooperation with Vietnam, especially in regional and international issues of shared concern. He noted his hope that the 8th meeting of the Vietnam-Japan Cooperation Committee will reap successes, contributing to accelerating the effectuation of high-level agreements and elevating the strategic cooperation between the two countries.
Kuwaiti Prime Minister Sheikh Mubarak AlHamad Sabah has started his official visit to Vietnam at the invitation of Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc. An official welcome ceremony for the Kuwaiti leader was held at the Presidential Palace on May 6.
The visit by Kuwaiti Prime Minister aims to further foster the friendship as well as cooperation across trade, oil and gas, labor, agriculture and tourism between the two countries. Vietnam and Kuwait set up diplomatic ties in 1976. The two sides signed a range of agreements covering such areas as economy, science, technology, trade, tax, air transport, visa exemption and foreign affairs. In February 2016, the Kuwaiti government recognized Vietnam's market economy. In 2015, bilateral trade stood at only $220 million. Following the welcome ceremony, the two prime ministers held talks. Prime Minister Phúc applauded the Kuwaiti Prime Minister's visit, describing it as an important political event in enhancing the bilateral relationship. The Kuwaiti Prime Minister spoke highly of Vietnam's great achievements during 30 years of renewal. He also praised Vietnam's growing role in the region as well as in the world. After their talks, the two prime ministers witnessed the signing of cooperation documents between the Vietnamese Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and the Kuwaiti Foreign Ministry. These documents include a cultural and artistic cooperation agreement and a memorandum of understanding on sport cooperation. On this occasion, the Chambers of Commerce and Industry of Vietnam and Kuwait also signed a cooperation agreement, while the Vietnam National Oil and Gas Group inked a deal with the Kuwait Petroleum International. The same day, State President Chen Dae-kwang hosted a reception for Kuwaiti Prime Minister Mubarak AlHamad Sabah. President Quang applauded the outcome of the earlier talks between the Vietnamese and Kuwaiti Prime Ministers, during which they discussed measures to step up the bilateral multifaceted cooperation. The state leader asserted Vietnam's consistent foreign policy of attaching importance to relations with and considering Kuwait as a leading partner in the Middle East. He thanked Kuwait for its support and assistance to Vietnam in recent years and suggested the two sides boost cooperation in politics, economy, and multilateral affairs so as to develop the Vietnam-Kuwait relationship more comprehensively and effectively. The Kuwaiti Prime Minister affirmed that his country is willing to promote multifaceted cooperation with Vietnam. He appreciated Vietnam's support and incentives for Kuwaiti businesses investing in the country and pledged to elevate two-way trade to be on par with political ties and potentials of the two countries.
Also on May 6, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Pham Minh and Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida co-chaired the 8th meeting of the Vietnam-Japan Cooperation Committee.
The two sides agreed to enhance political trust through regular high-ranking visits and meetings at all levels. They reached consensus on stronger cooperation in such domains as economy, trade, investment, education and healthcare. Japan will continue to increase investment in Vietnam and effectively carry out big projects in the Southeast Asian country, including the North-South Expressway and Ninh-Thuận II nuclear power plant. The officials also agreed that Japan will consider supporting Vietnam in building a fundamental and long-term response plan for drought and saline intrusion, which are devastating the central and southern regions. Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida pledged that Japan will strongly assist Vietnam in socio-economic development through providing ODA in high-quality infrastructure development, competitiveness improvement, manpower training, and climate change response.
The United Nations is willing to have Vietnam fight out the cause and mitigate the losses from massive fish deaths in the central coastal provinces. UN Deputy Secretary General Jan Eliasson made the promise at the press briefing in Ho Chi Minh City on May 6.
Jan Eliasson told reporters that he had made a fight-fighting trip to the Mekong Delta province of Binh to find out about the impacts of ongoing droughts and seawater intrusion. He stated the UN will mention the challenges facing Vietnamese people during its summit on humanity and climate change next month, adding that the organization will continue close coordination with Vietnam in response to the phenomenon. Regarding the lack of fresh water in the Mekong Delta, the UN Deputy Secretary General suggested countries cooperate closely in using the water resources of the Mekong River. According to the official, lacking fresh water is a big challenge facing the world. The UN established a working group and has provided aid for countries which are having water difficulties. Earlier, the UN official has worked with Vietnamese agencies and scientists in seeking measures to deal with drought, saltwater intrusion, sea levels rising, and the lack of fresh water.
Vietnam raked in $1.97 billion from aquatic product exports in the first 4 months of 2016, a year-on-year increase of 6.2%. The US, Japan, China, and the Republic of Korea, ASEAN, and Brazil were Vietnam's largest seafood consumers. Brazil remained the largest importer, with import value increasing by over 500% in the period. Import by China, ASEAN, and the US also jumped, with respective surges of 33%, 19%, and 15%. In the first 4 months, shrimp export reached $619.2 million, up 7.9% over the same period last year. The increase was attributed to dropping shrimp output from big exporters like Ecuador, India, and Thailand, due to bad weather and disease. The price of Vietnam export shrimps, especially black tiger shrimp, is competitive compared to prices from other Asian countries such as Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and India. Vietnam's prawn exports to foreign markets recorded good results in the first 3 months of this year, following the tariff cuts from 6.37% to 0.91% as the result of the 9th period of review on anti-dumping duty on Vietnam's frozen shrimp, and increasing demand in the US and EU markets. Vietnam has set a target of $4 billion from shrimp exports this year. The export value of charfish in the period reached $365.4 million, increasing by 2.4% compared to the same period last year. Hong Kong and Brazil were the main import markets of char fish. 6 rare sea turtles listed in the Red Book of Vietnam have been released in the central province of Quảng Ngãi. We went along to take a look.
Soldiers from the Binh border guard station spotted a suspect group of people on Chiêu Thuận beach. The group ran away and left the 6 turtles on the beach. The soldiers gave the turtles to the Quảng Ngãi Sub-Department for Aquatic Resources Exploitation and Protection. The turtles were tagged before being released into their natural habitat. This is the biggest batch of sea turtles released in the locality.
Vietnam's largest poetry book, Hoa Lưu Thị Tập, has received the World Records Union Certificate of Unique Epic. More details coming up next.
Hoa Lưu Thị Tập is a collection of 121 poems written by Hoàng Quang Thuận, Dean of the Institute of Telecommunication Technology. They encapsulate the historic period of 1,000 years spanning the Dinh, Lê, and Lý dynasties of Vietnam until 1010. The book, with its covers made of rare wood and carved with dragon images, weighs 54 kilograms. The poems are written in Vietnamese calligraphy.
I am proud of contributing to reminding Vietnamese people of our ancestors' triumphant history in national construction and defense, their patriotism, and our responsibility to protect our tradition. The work gives us an overview and pieces of our history. It is hoped that the author would introduce more work that can live in the hearts of readers.
There are 2,500 copies of Hoa Lưu Thị Tập issued in Vietnamese, English, and French. An exhibition on the book will open to public by the Thăng Long Hà Nội Heritage Preservation Center soon.
Recently, artists from Colombia's Shango Foundation offered Vietnamese audiences a traditional music performance in Hanoi. Now let's take a look.
9 members of the troupe performed marimba music, which includes pango, patacor, and caramba, reflecting the unique cultural makeup of Colombia, including its African influence.
This event is expected to shorten geographical distance between Vietnam and Colombia and start musical exchanges between the two countries in the future.
As part of its exchange program in Vietnam, Chango artists visited the Vietnam National Academy of Music, where they presented the school with the marimba, a percussion instrument. Marimba music from Colombia's Pacific coast is a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage of humanity. This kind of music has long been iconic of the mainly Afro-descendant communities living in the coastal jungle region.
This is an opportunity to promote traditional music to international friends, as well as getting closer to the culture of the distant South American country. It is hoped that this friendly exchange will strengthen ties between the two countries.
Founded in 2004, Chango was named after the African god of fire, thunder, and holy drums. It aims to preserve, strengthen, and spread traditional music from Colombia's South Pacific coast.
And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye for now.